live from Manchester, New Hampshire, and there's a lot of things going on, including something appearing like a filibuster, because the Republicans are insisting on a complete and absolute knockout, drag out discussion of the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, the act that would make elections honest in America, because they're not. I know. I'm a big liar, and I'm not telling the truth, and I made it all up. And I should. They wanted to put me in jail, but they just quite couldn't. And they tried to take everything away from me, and I still insist that they cheated their asses off in that election, and that I have the proof of it, and that if any sane person who isn't afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome and a sense of tremendous dishonesty, and I just took a simple look at one or two pieces of proof, they would see that I was telling the absolute truth. All they have to consider is the fact that for 6 straight years, the governor, who was a Republican governor but a scoundrel, and the Secretary of State, who's worse in Georgia, have not let us look at not a single piece of paper, not one, not a single piece of paper. And they haven't let us look at a single piece of paper, because if they look at a single piece of paper, I will pull out enough votes that were manufactured after the election. I will be able to prove it. And I can guarantee you that 95% of those votes are for Joe Biden. And they will be way beyond the amount that would have affected the election. And they will almost all have come from Fulton County, Georgia, which is where I was indicted, went into the prison, and they wanted to put me in jail for 20 years, completely on a fraudulent charge by an absolutely crooked district attorney and her boyfriend, who will even making money off this. But Democrats get away with everything. They get away with everything. And they've been able to sell even people who are decent people on this side. So every time Trump talks about the election and how it was fixed, they say falsely asserts that it was, falsely assert. I don't know how much proof has to come in. I mean, the Georgia fix has been proven 5 times, over and over. Wisconsin, absolutely. In fact, the Supreme Court of Wisconsin acknowledged that the votes were illegal. It was too strict a remedy to disqualify the votes. It was too strict a remedy to have an honest election. So this law, one would think, is going to be Jim Crow. The reality is that almost every American, but dishonest ones, support this, which means almost the entire Democrat Party in the House and Senate, with the exception of John Fetterman, because you have to be crooked to not vote for this. I was listening to a protest before done by Democrats, and it was a person who was worried about people with disabilities. And she said, my people are going to be disadvantaged by this. They're going to be disadvantaged by this because they have disabilities. They won't be able to get. They won't be able to get a. Now she doesn't have a disability. She's perfectly fine. And who knows how many people on disability she could be taking care of people on disabilities. Or there's just about as good a chance that she has a phony place like they have in Minnesota, and they make believe they take care of people on disabilities, and they're stealing your money. The reason New York's budget in the city of New York with 8 million people is the same as the budget of Florida, actually more, with 22 million people, is because they steal everything in New York. Because for every program you have for people with disabilities, you have 1,000 people who don't exist. That a woman like this jackass that was talking today, maybe, I don't know, maybe she supports real disabled people, maybe she supports made up disabled people, or maybe she does both. Or maybe she does real disabled people, but her husband has the contract for chauffeuring them, and her brother has the contract for feeding them.
Yeah.
And Her cousin owns the place that supplies all of the things the government buys for them. This is what I am describing to you is the reason why your government is going bankrupt. The same thing is true with healthcare. There are people on healthcare that do not exist. There are people on healthcare that are dead. There are people that are on healthcare 4, 5, and 6 times. That's why in places like New York and California and several other thoroughly crooked states, the numbers are 3, 4 times per capita. The same thing in your schools. New York City pays 3 times more per capita than anyone in America for schools, and its performance is way near the bottom because the teachers union and the Board of Election, in addition to being communists, are thieves. So here's the answer to that woman who was saying that the people with disabilities are going to be hurt if they have to have ID. To collect disability under federal law, you need a photo ID and a proof of citizenship. So, my dear, we will be helping the people, if they don't have one, get the disabilities. Because if they don't have one, you're probably stealing for them. And the fact that you don't know that they have to have one probably means that you've never taken care of a person with disabilities. Because the first thing you would know is you have to get them identification. It's the reason why if you go up to Harlem, people in Harlem laugh at you. We're going to play something from Kara very shortly that she put on, and it's on my Twitter account, which is at Rudy Giuliani. Is that it?
That's right.
Same way you get me here on X, if you have me on X. And I put it up a little earlier. It already has gotten a lot of people. I'm going to play you a little bit of it. You'll get a flavor of it. And then you go watch the rest of it. It's just a great piece by Kara Castronova. Do you have it, Ted?
You have it.
So go ahead, play it. And you'll see that the Democrats, who every single one of them is voting against this. Every single Democrat is voting against voter identification and citizenship identification. And almost everybody in this country has it. And the poor people have it disproportionately because they need it. And if they don't have it, they should have it for reasons other than just voting.
Absolutely.
So they can collect what they're entitled to. And if you don't seem to know that, you don't know it because you've been collecting money for these people forever and never had any ideas because you don't have any people, which we found out, which you found out, which I've known since the 1970s. Democrats have been doing this since the Great Society.
Here's Kara.
That a large number of Democrats support voter ID and the Save America Act. I wanted to test that myself. So I went into the heart of deep blue Washington, D.C. to talk to people on the street. And the takeaway was unmistakable.
I'm a Democrat, proud Democrat.
Proud Democrat. Do you think that you should be required to show ID to vote?
Yes, I do.
And do you think that you should have to prove you're a United States citizen to register to vote?
Yes.
Do you think that people should have to come in and show ID to prove who they are when they vote?
If you're in the United States, yes. If you're in another country, they got their own rules and regulations, but the United States has a constitution.
Do you think it would be difficult for some people to prove they're a citizen?
Yeah, snuck here illegally. If you were born here, you shouldn't have an issue.
I'm born and raised here. You got to show some kind of ID, because if you don't, you're an alias, right?
Everyone's supposed to have an ID. Yep, that's the law. That's the law. I have one right here.
So you have your ID with you?
Yeah, I'm a citizen. See the photo? That's important.
Democrat or a Republican?
Democrat.
It is good that you have to present identification and proof of citizenship in order to vote. It makes sense to me.
While most people we spoke to supported voter ID, we did find somebody that disagreed. Do you think that you need to show an ID in order to vote?
No.
Are you a citizen yet?
I tried doing this year.
The Save America Act requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote in federal elections, restricts certain mail-in and non-citizen voting practices, and strengthens voter ID and election integrity standards nationwide.
Things like mail-in voting, there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse because I see the mailers. Sometimes I will get 2 or 3 of them. It's only one of me. Right. And with that, I could cast 3 votes.
It is an extra step once you get married to take that proof of name change, which I had to do to get a real ID. So I've already done it once. So it doesn't really bother me to have to do that again if I were to register to vote.
Would you be surprised to know that it's Democrats that are the ones that don't want to pass the Save America Act, meaning they're the ones that want to allow people to vote without proving they're citizens?
I don't know if I want to believe that.
Senate Democrats will never allow the SAVE Act to pass this chamber.
You know, it's really funny. You put on at the end the most dishonorable Democrat, certainly the biggest traitor in terms of the Jewish people. He's got to go down in history as one of the great traitors of the Jewish people, particularly when he interfered in the election. Isn't that illegal? Oh no, he's a Democrat. I forgot. I'm sorry. Of course, it's not illegal. So, first of all, you should know things are getting so bad with TSA because the Democrats. You know, I think they haven't been paid like in 60 days or something.
That's absurd.
They only earn like in starting pay is about 45,000.
Right.
Maybe the average one is earning 50, 60,000.
Right.
People earning 50 or 60,000 are going paycheck to paycheck.
Oh my God, yeah.
And they probably don't live in a place in which they can easily borrow the money to tide them over. Now, you see, the reason you say that is the federal government used to get itself off the hook by saying, well, they're all going to get paid at the end anyway, which just kind of makes it really stupid. It makes it really stupido.
That's right, man.
They're going to get the money, except you're going to have some of these people starve. Or maybe have to quit when we don't want them to quit.
We thought that.
Why don't you just fund them? Gee, I mean, this whole thing with ICE, you've made it up. You've made the whole thing up to the detriment of this country. You've made this country considerably more dangerous by what you're doing. You've made women really in much more danger because a disproportionate of the Biden creeps are perverts. Sorry, boys, they're perverts. I've never seen so many. I go through the list, every list, 4, 5, abusing children, abusing women. The societies they come from apparently encourage it. Where the hell do you think they come from? Like Somalia. Right.
So these are the long lines we're seeing at airports, thanks to congressional Democrats and their DHS shutdown. We're seeing these long lines across the country. What you're looking at now is George Bush International Airport in Houston. And now what you're seeing, this right here is Chicago O'Hare. And we're going to show you some others here. But interestingly enough, people are asking questions. Are members of Congress, the literal individuals who are responsible for this shutdown, getting special treatment? That's what people are asking. This video has been released. This is from DCA in Washington. It appears to show Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Congresswoman Mace, a Republican. We're not going to choose sides here. They appear to have their own escorts. We haven't proven this yet. They appear to have their own escorts at the airport, literally at the very same time. Democrats, let's be clear, but Congress, right, has defunded DHS and caused this problem. If I'm a Republican, I'm not being seen getting escorted with special treatment.
They're getting paid too, aren't they?
Yes, well, let me double check on that. They're getting paid, but that woman right there is responsible for this shutdown. Yet she has no shame walking by
everybody
else, right? Let's take another video here. Show everybody else what everyone else is. This is what everybody else is dealing with.
Is that Mace?
And that's Mace. So we got to be fair here. As a Republican, though, I'm not. I'm ashamed of myself. I'd be ashamed. I mean, unless
I think I would be, but I would give her a little more of a break because she's doing everything she can to stop it.
Right, and maybe she's on her way to a vote or something. However, I just think it's a terrible look. And let's go back.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
You can't make this up.
Well, let's before we take a break, let's see if we can make some sense of this thing with Joe Kent.
Okay.
So Joe Kent resigns, right?
Yep.
But then he puts out, he's supposed to be a supporter of the president, a friend of the president's, and all of this. But then he puts out this really nasty, what was it, a tweet?
Yeah.
So he puts out this nasty tweet in which.
Well, it really was a letter. Is that, yeah.
Oh, well, it was a letter. And the letter basically says that the president was, undue influence was placed on the president to go to war by Israel, by the bad, terrible Jewish people. That's completely absurd. We know of any number of times that Netanyahu and Trump have disagreed about the conduct of the war and have agreed to disagree. They have a mature relationship. And certainly Netanyahu doesn't control Trump, nor does he want to. In fact, nobody does. And guys got to know that, Ted.
Right.
But worse than that, which is just a cheap shot from a guy with no character.
Right.
I'm sorry, pal, you got no character.
Right. That's what we
But
talked
you
about.
also, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And there's something wrong with you and the people that interview you and made you into whatever the hell you are. When you tell me that this Islamic Republic of Iran was not a clear and present danger to the United States of America. Now, if you don't know that, you don't belong working for the government.
Yeah, we can't have.
You're too stupid to take care of us, or you're too dishonest to take care of us, or you're working for somebody other than the better good of the United States. Now, I heard today something from him a year ago in which he acknowledged how dangerous Iran was. Do you have that?
Let's
tape?
play the tape.
The draft, aren't they? Like they're still registering for the draft, aren't they? Like that's the logical conclusion to the direction that we're heading in right now, unless we make some serious changes.
I mean, I've already heard rumors that Fifth Group is going to be sending guys to Iraq because of the escalated situation with Iran now.
Yeah. I mean, most Americans aren't aware of it. Our troops in Iraq and Syria have been attacked 150 plus times by Iranian proxies. And when we say Iranian proxies, we got to be clear on what that is. That's the Iraqi government that we pay. Because after the Iraqi military, we spent $2 trillion on, surrendered to ISIS, we had to go back in there in very short order and stand the military back up again. And guess who filled the breach? The Shia militias controlled by Iran did. And the Iraqi government's controlled by Iran. So they're still registering for the draft, aren't they? Like that's the logical conclusion to the direction that we're heading.
All right. So when was that, Ted?
That was. Make sure you get this right. Just 3 months ago.
So in the last 3 months, they've become very safe.
What?
So I mean, do you need anything else to come to the conclusion that this man is number one, he's a liar. But there's got to be a reason why he's lying. Within 3 months, he comes to the conclusion that the president was so wrong that this country was dangerous to the United States, when 3 months ago it was very dangerous to the United States. That you're going to quit on him and piss in his face. So come on. Red face. What the hell were you doing? And why the red face? What was that all about? Is that what happens when you lie? I don't know. I had witnesses on a witness stand that did that.
Oh, who would have saw this coming?
Oh, is he a setup from that guy?
This just happened today. What did I say last night?
So this is
his first
did
interview.
Did make-believe journalist ask him about his contrary quote 3 months ago?
Let's see if we got some stuff.
Of course he didn't. He did the same thing with Fuentes. Never asked him anything.
We'll get some clips from this later.
Did he put him on his lap?
Yeah,
Did he put him on his lap like Fuentes and stroke his head?
Right. That's the question.
Well, what did you show me with
That was him speaking. That was him. That was an advertisement for him with Tucker Carlson tonight.
Oh, tonight.
Or earlier.
So he's going to go on Tucker Carlson and lie?
Yeah, we'll try to get some cuts.
We can only assume, but right
now, why? Don't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to let him go get a clip, and then we'll play it for you tomorrow night, and we'll see how much they lied. And we'll see. You see that clip that we pulled out? How long did it take you to get that, Ted? Once I told you that I heard it?
5 minutes, less than that.
Yeah, less than that. In fact, I mean, Tucker has 432 people working for him because he doesn't really do very much work.
Yeah.
Doesn't he read everything, Ted?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
He reads everything. Yeah. I know. There's no monitor here, boys and girls.
Right.
That phony. This guy, there's something really wrong here. There's something going on here, and it's very dangerous, and it's very bad. You don't switch your position the way that guy did in 3 months, telling us how dangerous Iran was, and then castigating the president of the United States for acting against a country that isn't dangerous to the United States, and being cowed into submission by another country when he knows he's been supporting Donald Trump long enough. Now, they kept him out of meetings for quite some time, didn't they?
That's right.
Well, I'm not going to go much further.
The mayor is smelling
but there's
something.
something wrong with this guy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't lie like that.
You are
and
right.
You're a good person. You don't do that. I'm sorry. You don't. That guy just lied his backside off.
My bet is on the mayor.
He lied his backside off. And what's this thing? And why do they hire people who like to show their chest hair, which he doesn't have, by the way? He's got his shirt open. He's red. He's red as a beet.
Well, he's a rock star now.
I mean, yeah.
And he's bullshitting like crazy.
And his first interview was with Tucker Carlson right after leaving.
Well,
Major rock star.
If I were working for the president,
not be happy.
He'd I had something to say about it. He'd never get hired. He wouldn't have gotten past an interview dressed like that. I'm sorry, and he would have gotten thrown out of the White House if he walked in that way. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. That's
No.
Basic decorum.
See, this is what you got to wear when you're in the presence of the president of the United States.
That's right.
Do you know that Ronald Reagan never walked into the Oval Office without a tie on?
Called respect.
You know what's over that? Mrs. Reagan. She said Ronnie always wanted it to be reminded of the heavy responsibilities that he had, that it was different than being somewhere else. Where do we find these people? Why?
That's right. It's absurd.
I mean, that guy, maybe that guy was a good guy once. He did lose his wife in war and became very anti-war as a result of it, which is an understandable emotional reaction, but not a reaction that should be too extreme for someone who's going to have government responsibility, because then you're not sound enough to take care of us. I once had great worries about someone like that, and also when I would have to hire people for sensitive positions, those were things you had to look at. I mean, the things you have to do in government require very balanced people.
That's right.
If their emotions are going to throw them off, and particularly uncontrollable emotions. You know, if God forbid someone dies and you have an immediate reaction to it, that's one thing. But if someone dies in war and you previously understood the need for a defensive war in a world that's exceedingly dangerous, you don't change all of that.
Right.
Because the emotions shook you up so much.
Right.
You can't think rationally any longer. Well, let's see what happens, and let's see how much more there is to this, and how much Tucker Carlson is involved in this, and also what that investigation of him is all about, which he went ahead and announced. So it has to be serious, because it sounds like he was doing trying to do a preemptive strike on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad was attacked 2 days ago. I mentioned that, but and no one was seriously injured or killed. And they did do a much worse job on the Al Rashid Hotel, which is located in Baghdad. Now you tell me why they're hitting Baghdad. They may have been aiming for the embassy, but as usual, they missed. You realize in some of these countries where they're sending these missiles, they're not killing anybody. They killed 3 people in one. And they've hit Emirates with more missiles than Israel. Does that make any sense in the world? Or does it prove that they're too irresponsible and insane to have
any kind of weapons?
Have any kind of weapons, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
There also was an attack in Amsterdam at a synagogue. 2 19-year-olds and a 17-year-old who were Islamics, which tells you this is an Islamic Muslim war worldwide. Yes, against Jews, but it's much broader than just against Jews. It's against Jews, it's against Christians, it's against Western civilization, and it's carrying out the dictates of their leader, who they all are insanely in love with, the pedophile and the mass murderer, Mohammed. Mass murderers and pedophiles should not be allowed to start religions. Not a good idea. And probably something contradictory about calling it a religion. And we have been cowed by being nice to the Muslim religion.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
Over centuries. And
was a
there is no reason in the world to be unfair to people who may be Muslim or Islam. There is a reason to be realistic about them, however. And the reason for that is for your safety and your children. The religion is not, as George Bush said, a religion of peace. It's a religion of war. The religion has created more wars than any religion in history. And it is continuing to do it all over the world right now. This Dutch synagogue, it's a terrorist group linked with Iran. And its focus is on the Jewish diaspora because, I mean, they want to carry out Hitler's final solution.
Right.
They want to eliminate all the Jewish people. But don't get too happy about that if you happen to be a Christian that doesn't love Jews. Because they're coming for you, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a misguided.
And they probably have killed more of you because there are more of you. So have we taken our break?
We have taken, not on this show, no.
So then why don't we do it right now? Right it, and we'll come right back.
We'll be right back. Please consider supporting our sponsors.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Welcome back to the Rudy, to America's Mayor Live,
All sorts
on
of
X and lots of other places. So there's a whole mix of opinions on the war. Luckily, the president has a very, very good intellect and a calm way of looking at these things and assessing them all and playing with this and playing with that and coming up with the right idea. I'm going to give you three very assertive opinions about this. I don't know if any of these people really know what they're talking about, but let's start with William A. Galston of the Wall Street Journal. You know, those are the people that know everything. Although they basically stay in a lily white tower all the time and basically reinforce each other's bullshit. So Galston basically has come to the conclusion that we're losing the war, and we're losing the war. He's come up with a brilliant distinction, which he thinks is brilliant. And he says wars are not won militarily. Wars are won politically. Okay. A+, William. You deserve your degree from whatever Marxist leaning university you went to. But he's an old guy. Maybe he didn't. And we are winning militarily, but we are losing politically because Netanyahu was going to eliminate Hamas. And now they're emerging from the tunnels and they're controlling Gaza. They are? They've got 1/3, if that, of Gaza, which Israel could take away from them in 2 days. It is true that we haven't done the completion of the agreement and taken their guns away, but you know that's going to happen. The minute Trump winks at him, Bibi will go in there and take all the guns away and throw them in the Mediterranean Ocean, and he's got them all sitting there right by the shore. There are 3 zones in Gaza, and Israel has complete control of one, effective control of the other. And anytime it wants, it can go into the 3rd one and wipe them all out. And this is Hamas like the present mafia. It's like, this is like a gene pool deteriorated into a bunch of suckers. So Galston, I don't know what you're talking about. They had done tremendous damage. Well, look how helpful Hamas was to Iran in the last couple of weeks. Wow. Just think of all those strikes by Hamas. Think of all the missiles that they shot out of Gaza, William, asshole. How about none? And if they did, they probably would have backfired and killed themselves, which is what happened with 25% of them in the first place. I mean, these people make it up out of their backside.
Right.
Israel's Gaza campaign was a military success, but a political failure. And that's why Hamas was able to interfere so much on behalf of its leader, Iran, and played a really decisive role in assisting Iran and having its entire IRGC leadership wiped out. Most of its navy at the bottom of the ocean. and it's oil stuck on one island that with the little finger will go like this, and the United States Air Force will wipe out forever. Now, did you know that Iran is politically winning also? Now, I don't know. You want to go tell that to the people in Iran?
I'm sure the people.
Would you like to tell it to every one of those heads of the IRGC who can't get life insurance, or the one searching around for virgins up in heaven? Will you?
Right.
Oh yeah, they're doing really, really well. We're not even sure they have Ayatollah with a face. He can't appear. He got to be missing a face.
There's something going on.
Nor will Iran agree to surrender its stocks of enriched uranium. Are you really? What's wrong with you? Do you take a look at the bomb? You see how far down the bomb goes? You think the Iranians can dig as far down as that bomb goes? Huh? They haven't been. If they could dig that far down, don't you think in all their weeks of this war, hey, William, they're winning this war politically? I know you say we're winning militarily, but you think you're really winning a war politically when you haven't even shot down one single plane?
Nope.
Right.
Or
tough to understand.
Israel is kicking the shit out of you, and you're bombing the Emirates?
When your people are parading in the street with Trump signs.
And then, they really got us in closing the Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, which we are totally unprepared for. We are prepared for it. The question is, do we want to do it? It's the same thing saying we waited a long time to do this. Well, we were prepared for it. Of course we were prepared for it. The question is, what's the trade-off? We could in one day or less, maybe one night, of the kind of bombing we did in a much larger area of Iran, we could end the Gulf of Hormuz problem. In doing that, we would end the nation of Iran for 20 years. We'd end it for the good people as well as the bad people. It wouldn't be an atomic bomb. It would be an absolute total destruction of their only product, which would take them years to rebuild. And by that time, the market might overwhelm them because oil is coming out all over.
Right.
They may never get back into the oil business.
Right.
And because Trump is a much smarter man than you are, and is looking down the road in a much deeper way than you do, but you don't have the humility to see it because you're a bunch of Ivy League snobs. And how you're not embarrassed of having gone to the Ivy League, I don't know.
They're dreaming about virgins. Trump is moving mountains.
Now listen to this. If we seize control of Charge Island, we will cut off Iran's exports, and we would bring the regime to its knees. But will we do it before soaring oil prices severely damaged the global economy and forced us to relent? The United States decided when the war would begin, but it doesn't control when the war will end. That's not right. That's just a complete stupid statement. First of all, if we took out the island and took out all of their oil, the price of oil would go way up and Iran would crash. You're telling me it would take a little longer for Iran to crash and the price of oil would be such that we would have to cave in. But since destroying all the oil would completely destroy Iran and we're killing all their people anyway, who are we going to cave into? There'd be nobody to cave into with any resources to run a country unless we gave it to them. You know, you really don't think. Do you ever get somebody in there that challenges you, that's got like half a brain, or who has the guts to say, hey, just because you look like a very wise old man doesn't mean you're smart? Or doesn't mean that your prejudices take over your reason, because you've written a lot of good stuff. But this is shit. At a time in which we are entitled to better than that. This is ridiculous. A better piece from somebody that the people in the administration get really angry when I say this, and I have every reason to be angry at it because he lied about me. But the piece by John Bolton is much better than your piece. And he faces the president with a real dilemma. What he basically says is, you can't end the war now. Regime change, he really sees through this so much better than you do. He says there really is only one result. You got to end this regime. Do you know that's been the one result for 47 years? It's the result we resisted. There are many, many people whose lives were cut drastically short because we didn't have a president that had the moxie to do it. Right. Or we had some that were too damn corrupt to do it. We had some that were worse.
Talked about it.
We had some that even talk about it. We had some that were funding them.
Wait, I take that back. Obama was literally.
I think Trump is talking about Clinton when he says he's the guy who wanted to do it. Now, Clinton maybe wanted to, or is saying it now, but it's possible Clinton did. But Obama and Biden would never have wanted to take it out of Iran. They were the biggest financiers of the largest supporter of terrorism in the world, which is mind-boggling.
Yes.
So Iran
was on the path to a nuclear weapon thanks to one Barack Hussein Obama. There's no other way to put it.
So let me summarize John's piece for you. He says the logic of regime change is inevitable. You have got to change the regime. I'm going to give you another reason why in a minute, that is just absolutely inevitable. He's got to, of course, he can't resist taking a shot at Trump because he's lied about Trump and he's lied about me, and I have no idea why. Completely lied about things that I supposedly said to him about Ukraine, which I never did. Mr. Trump is already failing in one key respect. Many Iranians feel betrayed, fearing mortal reprisals if the regime survives. Well, if they have that feeling, isn't it a temporary one? I mean, the good Germans and Italians and the French would have had that feeling for 5 years until we won the war. Right? I mean, John, that's just you're too smart for that. That's just so you can hit Trump because Trump calls you all kinds of things and you call him all kinds of things. Tehran last week closed the Strait of Hormuz. Closing Hormuz was also an Iranian retaliatory option that warranted urgent attention. And he's like second guessing and saying we should have stopped it and we should have given it as much attention as we gave taking out the head of the IRGC, the taking out the heads of the government structure, the IRGC, and taking out their ability to hit us back. He's wrong. John is a brilliant foreign policy analyst. He's a shitty military analyst. The reality is that we can deal with the price of oil being too high for a while, but every one of those pieces of munition we leave in place can kill an American. And our priority had to be to neutralize them, to neuter them. That's the reason why Israel is having their will with them. That's why we are. We're able to go in there every night and blow the shit out of them and not lose anybody, thank God. And that didn't happen by accident. That happened by intense concentration and priority. And John, the President of the United States, understood those priorities better than you did because you have never been a military analyst. You're just not. You don't understand the military. You're a damn good foreign policy analyst when you're not like going crazy to go to war. If you control that emotion, you probably would have had a hell of a career. And if you learn how to tell the truth. Now, here's where he's right. Moscow is reportedly supplying Tehran with both military intelligence and battlefield insights from its experience using Iran's drones in combat against Ukraine. If regime change fails, the Ayatollah will seek additional cooperation. And the point that he's making is that if regime change fails, this will be a great benefit to Russia and we don't have to read all, but China. The president's partner, Prime Minister Netanyahu, knows the inexorable logic of regime change. So do Iran's Ayatollahs, whose fanaticism justifies any sacrifice to ensure not military victory, but regime survival, living to fight another day. Will that happen? However, Mr. Trump himself has made this point, and he sure has, and he hasn't varied from it from the day that he made it. So please pay attention to this. We don't want to go back every 2 years. There will be some day when you don't have me as president. Perhaps you'll have a weak, pathetic person like we've had in the past. He's going to take him out, John. So all of this was an attempt for you to get your rocks off. It's not a bad analysis, but it's not worthy. And I don't know. You live your life better when you get over these angers. You also do another thing if you get over these angers. You get to think rationally again. Because the anger, and I know him well enough to say, the anger gets in the way of this guy's mind working correctly. The other guy I don't know. The other guy is a group that I've always had a real problem with, and it's the New York so-called intellectuals that think they're smarter than everyone else. And if they were smarter than everyone else, New York wouldn't be in the condition that it's in. And this is the problem I had as mayor. They would tell me, well, we've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. And I said, well, that's why I'm doing it the other way. Do you see what you look like? You've got over 2,000 murders a year. You had 3 major riots last year. You got 1.1 million on welfare. You got people leaving like even worse than now. So I'm going to listen to you. I got to try something. It's obvious I got to try something new. Only reason I'm able to figure that out is I have a brain, may not even be better than your brain. It's just freer of all this garbage you have in your head.
Lies.
Well, free of all the garbage they have in it. God almighty, it just keeps coming out of their mouths. Yes. So now so Galston pretty much says we're going to lose. Bolton knows Trump's going to change. Bolton knows the ending. We're going to win. IDF says we're going to win in 3 weeks. Thank God for the IDF. I mean, while we got all the make-believe Ivy League and what so-called intellectuals standing around, sitting around thinking, and BB and the IDF just go there and pound the shit out of them. While we're talking, they're doing. And now our military, Hegseth, and Hegseth doesn't pay attention. He doesn't get involved in any of this crap. You just got every day they're taking out more and more and more. And we don't know when the end is going to be, but that doesn't stop it. Eventually, there could be nothing left.
Right.
Eventually, there'll be nothing left.
It's a short fuse.
So for America calculates that we've reduced the rockets, the missiles, and the drones. This is an overall number between 75 and 90%, which is what Bolton would say we sacrificed rather than setting up a defensive corridor in Hormuz. I say, number one, that was a correct priority, because the first thing you want to do is create a safe battlefield for your troops. Perfectly safe. Second, I'm not sure you could even accomplish that. I'm not sure you can accomplish. Some of the reason why people don't go through the strait is psychological. We've actually gotten some boats through. It doesn't mean that we're not going to stop them from hitting the boats that go through, but we might not. So it's a risk. They're playing a percentage game. They haven't blocked it in the sense of sinking ships there, or we've actually prevented them from doing that. So even some of that is wrong. Meanwhile, Israel, which has been responsible for going after the launchers, well, maybe not totally responsible, but they believe we're beyond 60% of their rocket launchers gone. Now, that whether you have rockets or not, if you don't have launchers, all you can do is blow yourself up. And people wonder, well, what is Russia helping them with? Russia is helping them with, in a way, they're kind of getting what? Radar. Yeah, they're kind of getting even with us. They're giving them intelligence. They're giving them beyond radar. They're giving them satellite images that they wouldn't be able to get. Not as good as ours, because Russia doesn't have what we have, but something more similar to ours. The kind of satellite images that allowed us to grab Maduro, the kind of satellite images that allowed us to put something, to basically blow the Ayatollah to smithereens. So it could become more dangerous for us because they have a much better intelligence system operating for them, and Russia denies it. Russia denies it, but it has to be true because it's sort of like a tit for tat here. Ukraine really was the first to start using the drones very, very effectively. And for a year, Ukraine had a big lead on Russia. Russia went to Iran for help. And Iran developed a Shahed drone, which became a good counter to the Ukrainian drone. Not necessarily a victor, but getting things even. Now, the Russians, having had that drone for about a year, have improved it beyond the Iranians. Mm-hmm. And they're giving it, and what we detect on the battlefield are some of those improved drones, which we're almost certain come from Russia. And I think it's time for Trump to say, okay, you want to play with us? This is putting lives of Americans in jeopardy, Putin. Those tomahawks that Zelensky never used? I don't know. They're just wasting. Cost too much money for me to bring them over to Israel. I think we should drop them on your head. Now, it is pretty obvious we got to do this ourselves, huh? Trump gets criticized on Ukraine, and these guys were all pushing him on Ukraine, right? They should do more, do more. But every time they were like, whatever happened to the troops that Macron was going to send to Ukraine? They're hanging out. They're hanging out on the West Bank, getting drunk every night, like most of the French. They're actually having their fifth vacation of the year. And also, when the French fight, they actually cook. So unless the Ukrainians need more food, no use asking the French to come. The English military is down to nobody. It's down to nobody. And since they kicked out Andrew, who was a military guy, but I guess a skunk, I don't know, Andrew. Not Andrew. No, the other one, Harry.
Oh, Harry, yeah.
Since they kicked out, nobody even fights anymore.
I was going to say.
They don't want to even help us fight. They used to be good fighters.
You send a token ship or something. Not only are they not fighting with us, they're disparaging us along the way.
The Wall Street Journal editorial, unlike their wise ass writers, is actually quite good. And I recommend it to the president. The best way to get even with all of them, Mr. President, is take the oil. Now, I think they're saying if there's no ceasefire that Iran agrees to, Mr. Trump might decide to blow up Iran's oil energy facility on Sharjah Island. On Friday, the U.S. hit Iran's military forces, but spared the oil production targets. Hitting those would cost Iran dearly, since it is still exporting oil through the strait. It would also hit the rest of the world that doesn't want to help us, with the exception of Israel, far more than it would hurt the U.S. Europeans have more minesweeping ships than we do. They don't want to share them. They are saying that Europe is making a big mistake. Mr. Trump has a long memory, and Europe can't defend itself. Think about it. He's capable of doing it. I don't know. I mean, you all worried that he likes Putin too much. Maybe he'd rather deal with people in Italy and France and England that speak Russian. I don't know. You think you could fight off Russia? Well, first of all, France, all Putin would have to do is say, well, actually, he'd just be overheard. We're going to invade France. Macron would set up a peace treaty. He'd sign a peace treaty, and he'd sign it in blank. And he'd send it over, and he'd say, in the finest tradition of a pussy country, here's our hit. In the finest tradition of a country that needed Americans to save it and then double-crossed them, here's our peace treaty. Maybe they're going to throw us out of Normandy because they want it as a place where the French can have another vacation month.
Right. Knowing them, they would.
You know, the people in Normandy, I know the people in Normandy, they come and fight for us.
Really?
They wanted to be English anyway. The Normans wanted to be English anyway, when being English meant something.
So that part of France is
that part of France is where William and Normandy came from.
So the people who currently reside there tend to have more integrity.
Oh my God, they love America.
Really?
They take care of the grave. I mean, while it's still a somewhat Western Christian country, you got to go, because when the Muslims take over, they'll probably desecrate our graves. Now, this is true, and some people I know, because they have an animosity toward Ukraine, doesn't the Tucker Carlson devotees have an antagonism toward Ukraine? An irrational antagonism. I mean, if anybody should have an antagonism to Ukraine, it's me.
Absolutely.
And I have the balance to be able to weigh it properly.
Well,
because I'm not a sellout like some of you guys are.
Well, now we're in the podcast space, so you are now also a podcaster. But unlike most of them, Mayor, you don't make it all about you. I mean, these podcasters, whether it's narcissism, it becomes about them, and then where you are able to
Well, the simple fact is it's a balance here. Ukraine is a corrupt country, which is a tragedy for the people of the Ukraine, as it is for the people of Russia. The people of these countries, in most cases, if not every case, are not bad people. Some of them are more civilized than others. Some are more cultured than others. Some are more honest than others. The Ukrainian people happen to be well-educated and religious. Now, that doesn't reflect their government. Their government has taken on a lot, imitates Russia. And sometimes, I don't know if they can exceed Russia. They're not big enough. But in terms of individual personal corruption, they can. So you got oligarchs who are calling the shots. You got oligarchs who are calling the shots in Russia, and you have oligarchs who are calling the shots in Ukraine. So we're going to come right back. We're going to take a short break.
We'll be right back. Just let me pull this up. Consider supporting our sponsors so we can pay the bills.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
And we're back.
Welcome back. This is an enormously complicated military action war. What do they call Korea for 4 years? So they didn't have to call it a war. A police action. Can you believe that? They called it a police action. So whatever it is, it is enormously complicated. And we do need a president and a staff like he has to analyze it. But here's another argument I have to deconstruct so you can deal with it as you think your way through this. The left-wing press, and this is in the U.S., but this is all over Europe, all over. If you go and read the European press, even tangentially, look at it, they're all in love with the asymmetrical war. The asymmetrical war is, to any common sense, sensible person, about as stupid a military strategy as anyone ever followed, particularly more than 3 days. Because here's the strategy. The U.S. is bombing the shit out of you. Israel is bombing the shit out of you. What you want to do is use whatever the hell you got to degrade their ability to do that to you. Otherwise, eventually, unless they decide to give up, they're going to take you out. So you got to try and hurt them. Instead of doing that, they have already hit over 20 countries, but not just tangential. If you put together those hits against 20 countries, it's way more than they've hit us or Israel. And think of the damage we've done. We've basically decimated their Navy. We've decimated their Air Force. We've decimated their first and possibly their second line of leadership. We're not sure how much is left. We really are not. I mean, it would just be a guess. Is there a week left? Is there 2 weeks left? But eventually it's going to all go. We have the ability, just on an order from the president, to wipe out their entire economy in a night, in one single night. And they are attacking other countries. They're attacking one country, Emirates, which is a tiny little country. I'm not even sure they have an army. They do have an air force, and they're not using it. They've attacked it more than Israel. Now, here's how it made sense originally. Would this have those countries, who the president does take into his counsel, and he needs to if he wants to ever get to the goal that he wants to get to once this is over? You can call them Abraham Accords. You can call it peace in the Middle East. He's got to make them feel, and for real, like they're part of this. Otherwise, they're not going to make peace with anybody, us, Israel, or anyone else. So he's got to take their views into consideration. Doesn't have to follow them, but he's got to take them into consideration. So that what Iran had to be counting on except one other thing, which I'll tell you in a minute. What Iran had to be counting on is they're all going to run to Trump, and some of whom he likes a lot, like Mohammed bin Salman, like the emir of the Emirates. And he's even gotten to like the guy in Qatar, who a lot of Americans think plays us as a two-timer, but something's changed. So what they're banking on is they're going to go to Trump and they're going to say, please, please stop. We're getting hit. Our oil's getting hit. Our ships are getting hit. Dubai is worried about it. It's tourist industry, rightly so. That's what they live on. The Emirates, Abu Dhabi is oil. They're tourists. Okay, if that were working fine, that would be a good asymmetrical strategy. And then Trump would have a tough decision, right? Does he want to antagonize them completely so that even if he wins, he can't get to the peace he wants to get to? That would have been a tough choice. I think I know what I would have done. I'm not going to tell you, but I'm not sure. And if you think you're sure, you're just not a good leader, because you shouldn't be sure until you face it. That's not happening. These countries are going crazy. These countries are smart, because if they went to Trump and they said to Trump, hold off, make peace, they'd just be putting it off for another day, wouldn't they? They'd be letting this monster get a new life, get all puffed up again, and start bullying them again. What they realize now, much deeper than they did before, because they'd play around with them. These people are too dangerous to play around with. This isn't like Saudi Arabia playing around with Qatar, and Qatar playing them off against us, and Emirates being really angry about that. And these people are functionally insane and evil. And what they want to do is control you. And they have to have come to terms with the fact, which they've always known, that they hate them as much as they hate us. Mm-hmm. The Shiite Muslims hate the Sunni Muslims. The Shiites hate the Sunnis more than the Sunnis hate the Shiites, because the Sunnis look down on the Shiites. The Shiites look down on the Sunnis, but are the losers, because the Shiites were the better educated. They were the conquered ones. Iran, Persia was not a Muslim country. It was Zoroastrian. Muhammad's two successors came in, killed everybody they could, and forced them to be Muslim. And ultimately, what the Ayatollah was trying to put over on them is they were going to be the overlords of the Muslim community, the Shia. The minority Shia were going to run the majority Sunni. And ultimately, their goal is to play with the Sunni, like they're playing with Russia and China. But when they ultimately eliminate the Christians and the Jews, they're going to eliminate them. And that's what they are demonstrating to them right now. So Israel takes out the leadership of the IRGC. In 24 hours, they take out the three biggest people left in the IRGC. Mm-hmm. And instead of hitting Israel, they have significant bombing of Emirates yesterday. You know what the word was from Emirates? They view Iran's theocracy at this point as an existential enemy seeking the destruction of the Emirates. They now want the regime they once courted to be destroyed. The UAE has borne the brunt of Iranian attacks. More than 2,000 drones and missiles have been fired at the country. More than 80% of those have aimed at civilian infrastructures. they've killed 6 civilians and 157 others. Now, you do have to realize, for all this credit they're getting for, oh, this is a wonderful asymmetrical war, say the geniuses, right? Don't you think that for all these missiles, and of course it's horrible, they kill 6 people. And more people got killed in the Bronx today. $2,000 drones and missiles, and you kill 6 people. But you miss a lot. And they've injured 157. All 6 states in the Gulf Cooperation Council have so far been hit. They have refrained from striking back, but they are all united in regime change. So now, if Trump wants to come out of it pleasing the Arab side, not just the Jewish side, and he wants to be a winner, there's a definition of a winner. The winner is no more regime, and that's where it's going. That is where it's going. The cowards that run Europe, the people who have effectively given away our civilization and should be registered in history as the people who have given away Western civilization, whether it's Frederick Merz or Ursula von der Leyen or Mark Carney or Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, a complete effing communist, and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who I don't know what he is, and what the hell is Giorgia Meloni doing joining them yesterday? I need an explanation of that.
Another one of those coincidences.
Let's U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
It is time for us to sign off for the evening. But before we do, we have to wake everybody up. Muslims, significant portion of them, not all, probably not even a majority, but a significant enough portion so that it is a critical mass, have declared war against us for some time. And they have been conducting it for some time. Some people say 1,400 years. Certainly actively and in the modern form since 1979, with the Islamic Republic of Iran sponsoring terrorist groups that they controlled, and even sponsoring terrorist groups like the Sunnis, who they hate, in the same way that Stalin and Hitler work with each other, with a calculated effort to create a world caliphate. When Republicans would say that 10, 15, and 20 years ago, we would be laughed at. I remember in a debate, Mitt Romney said that, and he was laughed at. And all Mitt Romney was doing is expressing something that was true for 20 or 30 years. Had we recognized it earlier, many American lives would have been saved. Many other lives would have been saved. And this planet would be probably on its way to being much more peaceful. But for any number of reasons that history will, if it ever becomes honest again, have an unbelievable time analyzing. We didn't, but we're there now. Recognize that there is a Muslim war against you. If you're Jewish, you know it, right? You know it. They attack synagogues all over the world now. What was the attack on Temple Israel? What was that in Ted's home state? That was an attack on the Jewish religion by a guy whose unbelievable, critical, singular Muslim connection is still being somewhat hidden. Mohammed Baylor, Ayman Mohammed Ghazali. Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, from the day it happened, and we got his identification, and we found out what part of Lebanon his family comes from. We said immediately the guy's Hezbollah. Nobody covered it. Then they found out that the guy's not only Hezbollah, but the people he was mourning for were high-ranking people in Hezbollah that were slaughtering people. And you look at him, and that's what he is, a slaughterer. In the name of Muhammad, in the name of Allah. How many are going to come and yell out and kill us or try to kill us and say, Allah Akbar? Screw you, Allah Akbar. We're going to end that. You want to be Muslim, you got to forget that stuff. You got to take Muhammad and say, gee, it was just a mistake that we followed a pedophile murderer. Like the Anglicans are doing in England. They're all leaving the Anglican church. I just went on, I wasn't sure this was true. I just went on AI to get a quick answer. Is it true that there are now more Roman Catholics than Anglicans in England? Answer, yes. And heading in a massive direction. The Anglican church is disappearing. They're going to be selling the Anglican churches to the Muslims. It'll be Westminster Mosque. And I won't go there. And you know what'll happen? Some of those guys like Richard the Lionheart, and they'll come out of the grave. I mean, Richard the Lionheart fought the Crusades. He said, I fought in the Crusades, and you're giving my country up to the people who wanted to. You mean you still haven't defeated them? Jesus, they wanted to do away with us, and we were trying to prevent it. And then when the Spanish threw them out, we thought it was over. And you weaklings like Keir Starmer? Jesus, why doesn't that guy go? Oh, I think I have a place for him. So, I mean, if we just go to March 1st, we had a Senegalese immigrant named, Buford, first name Nadia Buford, Senegalese, who doesn't belong here, immigrant. And he killed 3 people, injured a dozen. He had all kinds of Iranian Muslim stuff in his car. Wonder why he did it. Then, this is, by the way, Ramadan. This is when they do all their killing during their holiday. I know that from way back. I mean, I was warned. I'm going back to the 80s now, 70s. When I was U.S. attorney, Ramadan, we always had to be very careful because they like to kill people during Ramadan.
Because it's a joyous occasion.
Well, I get, yeah, it's like, obviously, the Jews kill a lot of people during the high holy days, right? Aren't we always having all kinds of Jewish murders during the high holy days? Yeah, and Easter is terrible. Oh, my goodness. All those people come out of the Pentecostal churches. Boom, 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 boom. Now, if they did, they would be condemned by Jesus Christ and by Moses. But when they do it, you get a couple of Muslims who condemn them. But you get most of the Muslims, even the ones that wouldn't do it, saying, poor things. They're treated so unfairly. If it wasn't for Islamophobia, they wouldn't be killing people. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Muhammad came before Islamophobia. Muhammad wiped out villages of Jews and Christians and Arabs way before there was Islamophobia. His immediate success is practiced genocide before people knew what was genocide. They practiced genocide in Persia. Then, of course, we had the attack done by a at Old Dominion University. This was a hard one to figure out the motive for. Mohammed Bela Jalan, it was very, very hard. Now, he did scream out Allah Akbar, but he may have been lying. He may have been really killing in the name of somebody else. And of course, his conviction back in 2016 for being involved with Islamic terrorists, which that doesn't prove he's an Islamic terrorist, right? And the fact that he killed somebody and injured a whole bunch of people, I think maybe we better count that as another Muslim murder. That's 3 now since the 1st of March. Oh, gee. And then just a little later the same day, in a slightly different part of America called New York City, in front of a home that I used to live in, two self-radicalized Muslim, Muhammad-loving extremists, Imam Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, took 2 devices, very, very dangerous, very sophisticated devices, and tried to use them not to blow up Gracie Mansion like Fox reported today. Somebody should do an investigation to figure out, what's the real motivation behind Fox? What are they trying to sell you, the Shah? This is really going to be really smart. We save Iran and we put him back in the hands of the former dictator, murderer, and crook, because this one, went too far. You can do a certain amount of murder, like the Shah did. You can have a savak like the Shah had, and you can steal like crazy. And then you can put your ne'er-do-well son there, who's never had a job in his life, has no claim on it other than his father was a murderer and a dictator, and Fox will interview him and not ask him a single question, the way Tucker Carlson interviewed Fuentes. Mm-hmm. So, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, and even now when it's being repeated, it's hard to pick up that this was all Muslim. They make it sound like they were going after Mondami. They put Mondami in charge. They're going after the group that was protesting, the Hamas lovers, the lovers of terrorism, and the haters of America, who are described by the Washington Post and the New York Times and the mayor as white Christian nationalists. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
So there is a Muslim war going on that wants to take not just your country away from you, but your religion and your civilization and your culture.
In other words, your life.
Everything you are. That's just reality. If you face that reality, we got the strength to beat them. We are morally much superior to them. We are considerably more civilized. We are a hell of a lot smarter. You just watch what the Israelis do to them. All of them taking out their little devices and getting blown up. Smart, huh? Who's got the brains? The Arabs?
They
are really smart too. And then they get hit by Israel, they get hit by the United States, and they hit the Emirates. Gee, guys, if that doesn't work for 2 days.
Right. But we are seeing Iran stepping up. I don't want to say stepping up, but at least hitting some targets.
Yeah. I mean, they killed 3 people in Emirates with 10,000 bombs.
Right.
That's good. Right. What do you think you would have hit with 10,000 bombs?
With 0 training, I'd like to think we'd get more than 3.
Yeah. They're pathetic. They are effing pathetic. It is unbelievably ridiculous. And the only reason that we just don't end it completely is we don't want to kill civilians. We could, if we did to them what the English did to Germany toward the end of the Second World War when they wanted to get even for the Battle of Britain, they'd be on their knees begging. Half their cities would be gone. And a third of their people. But we're not savages. But don't give me this crap that they're winning the war or that they've done anything, even vaguely intelligent. They've turned the world against them. They had a group of these Arab countries that used to play possum. And now the possum they want is to destroy them. But remember, you got to remember, when you hear about anti-Semitism and you hear about Jews being attacked, don't sit back. You shouldn't sit back anyway, but don't sit back and think it's about just about Jews. It is not. It's inextricably combined with what they're doing in Africa, in killing the Christians in Africa that nobody would say anything about but Trump. And every one of the damn American newspapers contradicted it because they're bums.
Yep.
When you can't stand up for this civilization, you don't deserve it. When you don't realize what we have been given and our obligation to defend it with our lives, and get the hell out of here. We've lost too many people to pushing around with these jerks like Stearmer and McCoon and his 950-year-old wife.
But we celebrate old
We're
age.
going to end.
Celebrate old age around here.
We're going to celebrate. And in the end, I've never seen anyone destroy the spirit of the St. Patrick's Day parade than the communist, Islamic, extremist-loving little baby idiot that we have as mayor, who's going to bankrupt the damn city because he doesn't know how to count. At least they had an abacus. They were good at counting. So yesterday, he gets to talk on St. Patrick's Day. And you know what he talks about? All the terrible things that were done to the Palestinians who from the age of 2 were brought up to kill me. Not you, Mondami, me. Because I'm an American. And my children, and my grandchildren, and my friends. But not you. The material
been withheld from the
you
Irish.
went.
It has never been withheld by the Irish. An Irish diplomat named Roger Casement helped to expose the barbarism of Belgian King Leopold II in the Congo Free State. After Dublin supermarket workers went on a 3-year strike to protest apartheid, the Irish government banned the import of South African goods, the first complete ban by a Western government. And in 1980, Ireland was the first EEC nation to call for a Palestinian state. For years afterwards, Irish leaders like former President Mary Robinson stood steadfast in their support for Palestinian freedom. Today, as we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I know there are many who feel a continued obligation to one another, to a world where justice
in
does not feel so
1980,
often like the exception.
they wanted to put Palestine in the hands of a major murderer of Americans named Arafat. Ireland did. Under that traitor, that woman was a disgrace to Ireland. And what they've done to Ireland with that little jackass that the president was with yesterday is a disgrace. It was a great Catholic country. I don't know what the hell it is now. If you think we can't count on England, we sure as hell can't count on Ireland. Not the people, the damn government they have. And for you to use that, to exploit it, and to talk about a group of people that want to kill Americans and have killed Americans. Hey, jerk, I worked before I became mayor. I earned the job. I investigated Arafat. He killed 27 Americans. You know what an American is? It's what you're not. That's why I can't live in New York anymore. I mean, I see it going where London is going, where a bunch of the places in England are going. But we got to fight back. We got to fight back. We've got to understand what's being done to us. We're beginning to. A lot of people are beginning to see it now. Thank God.
They have to withdraw their consent.
Thank God. Bullshit. Well, we got to bring up. There are a lot of not him. There are a lot of good Muslim people who don't buy that stuff. Problem is they're defensive. They have a much worse case than other groups have, but it's not uncommon. Italians found it hard to condemn the mafia. They didn't like the mafia. They were embarrassed of the mafia. They thought the mafia held them back, but they felt like they were being traitors. And I used to preach this. I used to say, no, it's not about, it's about the reason we're proud of being Italians because we're good people. If we were if Italy was made up of all the mafia and not Michelangelo and Da Vinci and Giuseppe Verdi and Roman law and all those wonderful Italian-American immigrants that came and helped build America and fought for America. If it was made up of the mafia, we turn against them. They're not us. They're the part of us that everybody has, the evil part. And everybody has in their group an evil part. Well, that's the evil part. The whole thing is to extricate them, exorcise them. Let's have all the good people get together who don't kill, who don't steal, who don't rape, who aren't a bunch of perverts. So what happens with the Muslims is they have people like I'm talking about, and they have people that come over completely, but not enough. And there is still too much of a defensiveness all wrapped up in this sickness of Islamophobia.
Well, why do the good Muslims, right, that we would consider the good Muslims, why do they pretend that the Quran is such a great book?
Because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do to extricate themselves from it. So they start changing the words. They put out a book that's in the wrong. You pick up a Quran, it's not any logical order at all, so you can't understand it. They do that on purpose. But
that's why.
We're going to have plenty more on this. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to see what happens. There's a lot going on, and I think this war, there's going to be a decision on Hormuz by the weekend, for sure. It's not going to go much further than the weekend. You can tell by the president's. Well, you can tell. There's a certain string for these things, and he's letting it play out, also probably organizing his strategy. Remember, these things that happen, like they're very intricate. So they happen on a certain day. You don't think it's just made up on that day. So what happened? 2 weeks ago. Well, that was being planned for 2 months, and he knew the day and the hour way in advance. And if he didn't know the day and the hour, he knew it pretty much. Okay, so pray to the God who brought us this far, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of Israel, the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, our God. Pray for us. Pray in your Jewish tradition, in your Catholic tradition, in your Christian tradition, in whatever tradition you have that's good and holy and not dominated by an evil person or a person who led an evil life. And remember the great contributions to this country. You're not being arrogant about that. You're being realistic, and you're being humble. Pray for the people of Israel, and pray for the people of Ukraine, and pray for the people of Iran, the people of Venezuela, and pray for the people in those countries that are being misled by these weak leaders, like countries that are part of our tradition that we love, England and France and Spain and Italy. I don't think you got to pray for Poland, man. They're strong as hell. Not have to pray for Hungary either. They're sitting there holding their nose like this. And pray for our president. Oh, we're more fortunate than we ever thought we were going to be, aren't we? You really saved us, God. And continue to do it. We need you. Pray for the president. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to